Hey LakePoint Youth! Welcome back to another week of Youth Online. If you're watching for the first time, my name is Pastor Ethan. We're so excited you've joined us today. Let me tell you what you can expect over the next 30 minutes. We're gonna have some interactive chats. If you're watching live, make sure you chime in on the conversation. We're gonna watch the Greg and Riley show. Someone might get pranked. And then we're gonna get into our teaching series. Now, you might be wondering, why in the world does Ethan have a Mike Tyson tattoo? Well, it's because I'm a really big fan and I wanna be like him when I grow up. No, not really. It's because last week in the chat, my amazing wife, who I love very, very much with all my heart, rallied everyone together and forced me into getting not just a face tattoo, but this exact Mike Tyson face tattoo. So I really hope this washes off. Tattoos just wash off with soap and water, right? Like they're not permanent. I mean, the person who gave me this tattoo in the alley told me it just washes off. So it's gotta be true. Now that we've acknowledged the tattoo, let's get on with Youth Online. Now, before we get into the Caesar and Ranch of Youth Online, we've been talking about a graduation celebration for our grade 8s and 12s. On a Friday, June 26th, so about 3 weeks from now, we're going to have something very special for our graduates here on YouTube. So mark your calendars, write a reminder, subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you'll get notified when we go live. Tell a friend, get your grandma to remind you. Do whatever you have to do to join us Friday, June 26th. Speaking of grandmas, we have two very incredible celebrities here at LakePoint Youth, and they also have grandmas. And so I'm excited to watch episode 5 of their show with you today. I present to you the Greg and Riley Show.
Hi.
Welcome to the Greg and Riley Show.
Episode 4.
Do you want to prank call people?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's either going to go really well or no one's answering their phone.
Let's start with this first one.
Make sure your volume's up all the way.
Hello?
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah?
Hi, this is Jordy from Domino's Pizza. We've been...
I think you have the wrong number.
No, we have this number listed. You ordered a large pepperoni pizza side salad.
No, I haven't ordered from Domino's in a long time.
Is this 51983?
Yeah, but, I didn't order a pizza.
Weird. That's really strange, because our driver is saying that they're outside of your address. Could you just check outside to see if there's a driver outside of your address? Just to see if someone's there delivering the pizza?
I don't see anyone.
Weird. Huh. Would you mind, could you just help us get this sorted? Just 1 second. Could you hold for just a minute, if that's okay?
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
He hung up. All right, so now I'm going to call him back with a different phone number and pretend I'm the driver and see what he has to say. I got to go serious. I wish I knew his address.
Well, we can't say it on the video.
Yeah.
Or else people will send him all kinds of...
Weird stuff.
Yeah. Glitter. You can't just do that. You can't just give them
I don't even know how to use
information.
this phone.
Hello?
Hello, this is Ron from Domino's. I'm the delivery driver. How are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good yourself?
Good, good. Hey, I think my manager called you. I'm outside your house here, and I'm just been knocking away for a few minutes with the pepperoni pizza. Do I have the right address?
I think you have the wrong, whoever called you accidentally gave you the wrong number.
Caden Silica 51983. Is that you?
Yeah. But I never ordered a pizza.
Are you trying to prank us?
No.
Well, sorry, man. I got an order in our system with this number and your name for a large pepperoni pizza side salad. So I don't know what. Someone's gonna have to pay for it.
Well, I'm not even. I'm outside right now, and there's no. The only car that I see is my own.
Dude, I'm looking right at you. You can't see me? I'm in your driveway.
No, I'm actually outside.
I'm driving a white car. A white car.
No, I'm also in Leamington, so I don't know why.
Oh, dude, I'm also from Leamington as well. That's great news. Domino's Leamington is where I'm from. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. All right, well, we have your credit card on file, so we'll just have to charge it to that, and I'll just leave the pizza on the door. And we'll have to just, hopefully you get it.
Okay, I swear, I'm literally standing outside right now, and I don't see anyone.
Caden?
Yeah?
This is Greg and Riley.
Long distance charges may apply.
Why did you say long distance? That freaks me out.
Yeah. Maybe everybody's working.
It's COVID-19. No one's working.
Hello?
Hello, is this Ben Gagne from French Craftsman?
How's it going, Riley?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Song Time with Greg and Riley, where we sing songs, not good ones, but we make them up on the fly. This is for you. Ready?
Yeah.
COVID time. One last call for toilet paper because there is none at the store.
What will I use
to wipe your bum?
Don't know.
We don't have any toilet paper because it's not here.
I only got one roll left.
I know that I have to stay at home. I know that I have to stay at home. I know that I have to stay at home. Stay at home. No outside.
But what if I want to hang out with my friends on the weekend and go biking down by the marina and have some ice cream with my homies?
You're not allowed to go outside unless you are an essential worker. Then please keep working like Riley and I. This is a song about you, Caden Siliker. Thanks for answering the phone. My name is Caden,
And I haven't ordered Domino's in such a long time.
my name is Caden. I can't see out my window and I've looked for a long time.
I always order pizza from the frozen section at the grocery store.
Cause it tastes so much better.
Delicioso,
DiGiorno.
Pablarano.
That's not a real word, but I like it anyway. Cause my name is...
Caden Siliker.
If you look at me and you see me, then guess where I am? I'm at church doing something for somebody.
Probably in the back with the screens doing the lights.
I'm doing the lights, my name is Karen, I'm doing the lights, hey. I'm doing the lights, my name is Karen, and I'm doing the lights today.
Man, those guys are hilarious. I can't wait for episode 6 next week. Speaking of the number 6, and just numbers in general, how's that online math class doing? Is it the best thing you've experienced in your entire life? Let's talk about it in the chat. chatting with everyone live. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the week. So as we dive into our teaching series, keep those conversations going. We are into our final week of a series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. So for the last time ever, check out the series video.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
We've been tracking through the story of Joseph, and today we're gonna get to the end of his story. And Joseph gets this incredible opportunity to give his brothers exactly what they deserve. I mean, if you remember his story, his brothers threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, just because they were jealous that he was the favorite child. And then Joseph is taken to a foreign land where he's forced to work for a high-powered official. Then he was falsely accused of doing something he didn't do and was thrown into prison. Then he was promised to be spoken well of by a friend who he met in prison once his friend got out. But his friend totally forgot about Joseph until 2 years later. So if anyone has some beef with their siblings, it 100% would be Joseph. And so he gets this amazing opportunity. It's payback time for his brothers. This is his one shot. But we're about to see that instead of pursuing payback, Joseph pursues peace. Check it out.
When I was in high school, my friends and I went to Taco Bell a lot, and we loved it. But also it was one of the only fast food restaurants in my town, so we really couldn't be picky about where we were eating. Now, when I was in high school, you could order a couple tacos and drink water, and you could have a great after-school snack for around $1, making it the perfect place for those of us who were short on cash. The only problem was, $1 for me was still a lot of money. So there were a lot of days when I showed up at Taco Bell and I did not have the money to order anything. So on those days, I just played it off real coolly and said that I wasn't hungry. My friend Mike would pay attention when I said I wasn't hungry, and he knew it was more of a money issue than a hunger issue. So he would tell me, just order a couple tacos, I got you. And every time Mike would cover for me, I'd say, man, thank you so much, I'll pay you back. And he would say, no need, you're good. Now, to this day, I still remember that. I was this poor sophomore who couldn't afford to buy cheap tacos, and Mike was this really wealthy junior who picked up my tab without asking for payback. Not seeking payback is really heartwarming and cozy when it comes to borrowing money for tacos, but that is not always the case. Outside of paying money back to someone you owe, the idea of payback also comes up when someone hurts us. For example, when someone talks about us behind our back, we want payback. When someone flirts with our girlfriend or boyfriend, we want payback. When someone fails to text us back or invite us to a group outing, we want payback. In those moments when we've been hurt, we want payback. We want revenge. We want them to feel the pain and the hurt that we felt. We want them to be embarrassed the way we were embarrassed. We want to get back at them for the pain they caused us. Our first reaction almost always is to get even, to seek revenge, to make someone feel the same discomfort that we felt when they hurt us. And isn't it true that the closer we are to a person, the more we want payback? Most of you aren't trying to pay back someone else's brother or sister. Your feelings probably aren't hurt because of someone else's best friend, and you probably aren't angry because of what someone else did. The people who are closest to you and the people who know you best have the most potential to hurt you. And when they do, we want payback. Now, for most of us, payback comes in one of three ways. First, public payback. This is when we do to them what they did to us in an obvious way. We talk bad about the person who talked bad about us. We snap back and make some cutting statements to them in return. Second, passive payback. Now this way is way more subtle. We make comments that aren't obviously hurtful, but could be interpreted that way. We put that subtle posts on social media. We roll our eyes when someone talks. We ignore someone else's texts. Third, imaginary payback. This one's my favorite. Now this is when payback happens when we have an argument in our minds and we dominate. We get the last word even though the offense will never actually be discussed. It just takes over our thoughts and we never do anything about it. And what's amazing is that sometimes we do have the opportunity for payback. And if not payback, then at least the chance to celebrate when things fall apart for the person who hurt us. Like when someone who hurts us messes up and now we are loaded up with ammunition to kick them while they're down. Or when our ex who broke up with us for someone else then gets dumped. Or when our mom snaps at us and hurts our feelings and now she's crying and apologizing and it is just the perfect setup for us to put an exclamation mark on her regret. In those moments, it feels like karma, doesn't it? I mean, karma just means that you'll get what's coming to you, whether that's good or bad. And that is exactly the sort of situation that Joseph found himself in as we wrap up our story. Now, in this series, we have been journeying through the life of Joseph, whose story is found in the book of Genesis. And his story is a wild one. I mean, early in this series, we talked about how Joseph knew he was his dad's favorite and then rubbed it in his brothers' faces. Joseph also has a dream where he was in charge of the whole family and then he tells his older brothers about it, which only made matters worse, like, not cool, Joe. So Joseph's brothers plot to kill him, which seems like a slight overreaction, but like, I wasn't there. Instead, they see a group of travelers traveling through the town and they decide to make a little money by selling Joseph as a slave. The rest of the series has covered Joseph as a slave in Egypt, Joseph as a slave in a prison in Egypt, and Joseph as the man who interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh, who was the ruler of Egypt. Now Joseph is eventually placed in charge of all of Egypt. He is the second in command to Pharaoh, and that is not a bad outcome for a kid who was sold into slavery by his own brothers. But then there's a plot twist. After Joseph is second in command, there's this big famine where his family lives. So Joseph's dad, Jacob, sent the brothers to Egypt to ask for food. Now at this point in the story, Joseph's family thought he was dead. I mean, they weren't even thinking about the possibility of seeing Joseph when they get to Egypt to ask for food. When they arrive in Egypt and see Joseph, not knowing that it's Joseph, a huge drama unfolds. And you can read some of these interactions between Joseph and his brothers in Genesis 42 through 50. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. I mean, reading through the back and forth, knowing the backstory, it's like watching a movie. All right, so let's pick up in Genesis 45. Then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers, and he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph, is my father still living?" But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance." Now there's only one reason Joseph could have responded the way he did. He didn't try to get payback because he had already let go of the idea of revenge. He had already done the hard work of forgiveness. How do we know that? Because Joseph could look in the eyes of the ones who had caused him the most grief, and he could see beyond his own hurt. When Joseph said, "Do not be distressed, do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here," he was acknowledging their wrong and his hurt without seeking payback. Only a healed person could do this. Only someone who had forgiven could do this. Now Joseph chose forgiveness over payback, and we see that in the moment where he had the greatest opportunity for revenge. Somewhere between being sold into slavery and being reunited with his brothers, Joseph did the hard work of giving his hurt to God and allowing God to be central in his healing. And that's why Joseph was quick to acknowledge God in the area where his brothers had caused him the most pain. It didn't make what his brothers did okay. It didn't make Joseph's pain any less. forgiveness. It just took the real pain and the real hurt and no longer put them at center stage. It put God there instead. And that made forgiveness possible. Forgiveness was not only for his brothers, it was freedom from his own pain too. Joseph went on to tell his brothers to go get their father and move the entire family to Egypt because the famine would continue, and without making this move, his family would suffer. And then this happens. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Afterwards, his brothers talked with him. This is the perfect picture of reconciliation. This is where we see peace take over a relationship that was incredibly fractured, all because of forgiveness. When it comes to other people hurting us, we too have the opportunity to choose reconciliation over payback. In fact, here's a simple way to remember it. When you don't know what to do, pursue peace instead of payback. When you pursue peace, you build a bridge. Payback burns bridges. In other words, you can fight to win, to be right, to get even, to make a point, or you can fight for the relationship, but you cannot do both. When you pursue peace, you fight for the relationship. Joseph preserved his relationship with all of his brothers because he chose peace, and he was only able to do that because he fought for forgiveness, and he was only able to forgive with the help of God. Now, Joseph didn't have a superpower that allowed him to do all of this. He just had determination to do the work that peace requires, which means that you and I can do this too. When you pursue peace, you lay down your right to get payback. You let go of revenge. You say goodbye to your desire to get even. Instead, you choose the path of forgiveness. You choose God's story of reconciliation instead of your own story of payback and revenge. Now, this is way easier said than done, and something that you may have to work at every day, but the ultimate benefit is for you. You not only have peace in the relationship, you have peace within you. Now, when Joseph encountered situations where he didn't know what to do, he trusted that God had a much bigger story in mind. I believe that Joseph knew that peace was better than payback. Even though Joseph had no clue whether he would ever see his brothers in person again, when he did, he was ready because he had done the work of forgiveness in his own heart. He had given his hurts over to God. So as you head out, think about what you have the power to do when it comes to pursuing peace. What do you need to decide in your heart? Who do you need to forgive? What offense do you need to bring to God? He can do incredible things with your fractured story. It starts with you and I choosing to forgive so that we can pursue peace instead of payback.
I think we've all had moments where we've said out loud or we've thought internally, it's payback time. Maybe someone broke our heart. They hurt us. They misspoke and embarrassed us. Maybe you got pranked this past week by Greg and Riley and you can't wait for sweet, sweet revenge. Maybe you're trapped with an annoying sibling. Your parents have been unfair. Your teacher gave you a bad grade. You're frustrated that youth isn't in person. Maybe you've been keeping up on social media and current events in the world and you're reading and watching the events of George Floyd's death. Maybe you've been personally ostracized, hurt by someone, paralyzed by the system. Whatever it is you've experienced or are experiencing or will ever experience, pursue peace instead of payback. We can't control what people do, but we can control how we choose to respond. We can respond with peace, with forgiveness, with love, and with grace. That includes our family, our friends, people who are different than you, co-workers. Our mandate is to pursue peace, no matter who they are. Is it easy? No, not at all. It could be the most difficult thing you do this week. But what's the alternative route? To sit in your own pain and grieve? Give someone what they deserve and still feel the same way? Doesn't really sound fun at all. So when you don't know what to do, pursue peace instead of payback. If you want to process this further, feel free to reach out to your Connect group leader, to myself. Thanks for watching today, friends. Have a great week in your online Connect groups. See you next time at LakePoint Youth Online.